Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If it looks a little bit different, I am filming on my phone today. My camera battery died and I did not feel like waiting for it. But anyway, so today's video is actually going to be a book haul. I'm not sure yet how far back I'm gonna go. I went back and looked. I don't think I've actually done an actual book haul video since November. I think I did a not small, but it was like a book haul in a vlog maybe in February. But I have gotten a few since then, so I think that I'm just going to start off in March. Some of these probably came before then. I don't know. I didn't really keep track. First off, I'm gonna start with arcs. Like I don't usually get too incredibly many of them, but I did just want to throw out there that I got a couple of arcs in the last couple of months that I was really excited about. The first one is, I'm gonna put it over here, The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, which I just finished and I really loved. If you haven't heard me talking about Shadow of the Gods yet, this is a Viking-inspired fantasy novel that follows three different point of view characters: Orca, Varg, and Elvar. Orca is like this badass mom who's going on a mission of revenge and rescue for something that happens early on in the book, and Varg is a former slave who is just trying to fulfill his oath to his sister and ends up joining a warband called the Bloodsworn. And finally, Elvar is a member of a different warband called the Battlegrim, and she's just kind of trying to find her place in the world. She's come from a sort of mysterious background, but all she wants is to find some battle glory and to kill some monsters, and she will be perfectly happy. It all revolves around the descendants of the former gods, who were kind of like animal gods, I guess you could say. There was like the dragon and the rat and the wolf and the hound, which are two separate ones. Like there's a whole bunch of different ones. I believe a badger is one of them. Probably anything you could think of, it seems like, would have been a god at some point. And their descendants are now called the Tainted. They are pretty much just enhanced humans, like enhanced with those animal traits. But it is really cool the way that John Gwynne writes it, and this book honestly just cemented him as one of my favorite authors. I really enjoyed it. The second arc that I wanted to talk about that I got was Paper and Blood by Kevin Hearne. Yes, we all know on this channel that I love Kevin Hearne. I was fortunate enough to be approved on NetGalley for Paper and Blood, which is the second book in his Ink and Sigil series, which follows Al McVarish. Al McVarish is a 60s, I believe? A man in his 60s who is a sigil agent for the Fae, and essentially he uses sigil magic and specific ink, and I don't know if the paper matters or not, but the ink does. And specific sigils do different magical things, and he's kind of in charge of contracts and enforcing and writing contracts for the Fae. The first book starts off with the murder of his apprentice, because apparently he has a bad habit of all of his apprentices dying. And this one is no different. He comes upon him in a murder scene, and it's kind of a murder mystery to figure out who killed his apprentice and what he's going to do about that. And it was so good. Kevin Hearne is so funny, and Ink and Sigil was one of my favorite reads of last year for sure, and I don't foresee that going any differently with Paper and Blood. I'm about halfway through it now, and I am already loving it just as much, if not more, because there is a little bit of a throwback to the Iron Druid Chronicles. The next arc that I wanted to talk about was Beasts of Prey by Ayanna Gray. This I actually won a copy of in a giveaway. I believe it was for, not Y'all West, I think it was the Penguin Teen Book Festival. Was that a thing? I managed to win an arc, and I am really excited to read this. All that I really know about this is that it follows a 16-year-old girl named Coffee? I'm not really sure how you say her name, but she is a 16-year-old girl who works in like a magical zoo, trying to hide her magical powers and take care of the nightmarish creatures that are under her care, all to help pay off her family's debts and try and secure their eventual freedom. It sounds really cool. I saw Ayanna Gray do a TikTok promoting her book, and the comparisons that she made were really full of things that I am deeply interested in, so I can't wait to get this. It's on my TBR cart, which, update, I'm using my TBR cart as an actual TBR cart now, so that's a lot of fun. But it's on my TBR cart, so hopefully I will get to it very soon. This comes out in September of 2021, so I have a little bit of time, but I'm really excited. The next book that I got is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This book is a Book of the Month book that I got in February, along with one other one, which I will be talking about in just just a second. But this book follows Nella, who is, I believe, an apothecary in like the 1700s or the 1800s England, who sells poisons to women who are under the oppressive thumb of their husbands, and they murder them so that they can be free and not abused anymore, which is honestly pretty cool. This is actually based off of a story in history. I believe Bailey Sarian actually did a video on it, and it was pretty cool to watch, so I will link that down below. But essentially, it is following Nella, who is trying to help these women get out from their abusive marriages, and it also follows a dual timeline in the present day of a historian who finds an aged apothecary vial in the Thames. So, this sounds really, really cool. I was really excited to read the synopsis and choose it for my book of the month, and I can't wait to get to it. The other book that I got was The Fate of the Fallen by Calcade. This is a really short fantasy story, and as far as I know, it revolves around a character who was not the chosen one, but his friend was the chosen one, but I think his friend dies or can't fulfill it or somehow, and he kind of ends up being stuck in the role. That's what I've gathered. I could be 100% wrong on that, but I would be interested to find out. I've heard really, really good things about this book. I believe that it was the Shelf Space Book Club book, maybe last month or this month. I don't know. Time is weird now. But I heard great things, and I'm excited to pick it up. This next book is a sci-fi that I found at my local half-price books, and I was super pumped when I saw it because I really enjoyed the Netflix TV show, and that is Altered Carbon by Richard Morgan. I enjoyed the TV show from what I watched of it, but I really wanted to read the book, so I kind of stopped until I could pick that up, and now we are here. So I believe this follows somebody named Takeshi Kovacs, and I believe that he has to solve a murder very, very far in the future where people don't really die anymore so much as get re-sleeved. All of their memories are stored onto like a little device, and they can just stick that into a new body, and that they live on in that new body with all of their old memories from all of their previous lives. And I believe that in this iteration of his life, he is going to be forced to try and solve a conspiracy that's going on in the future. That's what I gathered. I'm really interested. I liked the TV show. I can't wait to check it out. I'm going to keep saying this because obviously I wouldn't be buying these books if I weren't excited to be reading them, but I have heard Elle from Elliot Brooks talk about Ninth Reign by Jen Williams nonstop, and I cannot wait to pick this up. I think I'm going to try and get to it next month if possible. But this follows a man called Tormalin the Oathless, an explorer and a witch, as they hunt down artifacts, I guess. I think that Elliot Brooks described it as like Indiana Jones, but with a witch and Vin from Mistborn and Geralt of Rivia, but like more vain. And those are all things that I love, so I can't wait to get to it. I've heard like that it's kind of humorous and witty, and it's just a lot of fun, so yeah, this looks really cool, and this cover is fantastic. This next one I actually got from a buy-sell trade group on Facebook. I have been really trying to find a copy. Not that it's hard, I just, you know, I don't know why I said that I've been trying to find a copy. I found a copy for sale in a buy-sell trade group for a reasonable price, and that is The Martian by Andy Weir. I read this book like right before the movie came out. Like I think I was finishing it on the day that the movie came out, and then I immediately dragged John and our roommate to the movie theaters to go and watch it, and I really wasn't disappointed. I loved this book so much, and I also love the movie, and I have had the ebook for a really long time, and I just never got around to buying the physical copy. Fast forward to now, and John is reading a lot more physical books. He doesn't like ebooks at all, and he really wanted to read this at some point in the future, so here we are. We have a copy of it finally for him to read, and I always wanted a physical one as well, so we got The Martian. If you have never heard of The Martian before, this book follows Mark Watney, who is an astronaut as part of one of the, I think the first group of astronauts to travel to Mars, but in the midst of a storm, all of his team members accidentally leave him behind, thinking that he is dead. He's not, and he has to survive on Mars until NASA and all of the space agencies of Earth can work together to try and save his life and bring him back home. It is so good. As a scientist, honestly, a lot of the science in this book is totally valid, but it's not over the top. It's not over people's heads if you don't have a background in science. Andy Weir does a really great job of explaining that, and I think everybody should read this book. It's so good. These next three books I'm going to talk about together because they are all part of the same trilogy, and that is the Inkheart books by Cornelia Funk. And then I'm going to put two of them down because They're heavy. So I first read these books, I think back in elementary school. I read Inkheart, and I think that I read Inkspell when it came out, and then that's where I stopped. I had no idea until this last year that there was a third book in that trilogy. I'm pretty excited about that fact because I loved both of these when I read them. I still really enjoy the movie with Brendan Fraser. It's not like the most faithful adaptation, but I still really liked it. I found these in the same buy-sell trade group that I got The Martian in, and they were at a really good price. They're the hardbacks. They're in pretty much flawless condition. I don't see any issues with them at all, so I was really excited about it. If you've never heard of Inkheart, this follows the story of Maggie, who when she was a young child, her father, Mo, accidentally read the characters of a story called Inkheart to life. They came out of the storybook. They are not very good people, and they're kind of just dealing with the consequences in the time that follows. There's a lot of really cool twists and turns. This is, I believe, a middle grade. I don't think that it's young adult, but it's just such a fantastic story. Dustfinger is one of my favorite characters, even though he's kind of an asshole, and I just love Maggie as she was such a relatable protagonist to me when I was in the 5th grade, so I just really loved it, and now I really want to go and rewatch the movie, so maybe I'll have to make that a thing. I'm really excited to reread this trilogy and fall back in love with this world and these characters, and especially find out what happens in the conclusion to the trilogy, which is Ink Death, because I didn't know that it existed. These next few books I also bought all at once, and they are part of the same series as well, and that is the Temeraire series by Naomi Novik. I have 1, 2, and 4 here. I already owned book 3 randomly. I'm not really sure how. But Half Price Books had these other books in the series, and I've been really interested in reading them for a while because there's an adorable dragon companion, and you know that we love animal companions on this channel. I'm going to be totally honest, the only thing that I know about this Temeraire series is that it involves like the Napoleonic War and dragon riders, and that was enough for me to be interested in it. I don't really need to know anymore, but I can't wait to pick these up because I've heard such great things about this series as a whole, and I just think that the covers are awesome too. I mean, look at this. That's fantastic. These next couple of books I picked up at my local indie bookstore, which is kind of large for an indie bookstore, but they are still independent, so I guess they fall under that title, but that is Joseph Beth Booksellers. I ended up getting Ruin there, which is the 3rd book in the Faithful and the Fallen series. This is the one that I'm on, but I don't know that I'm going to actually pick it up and read it until I get Wrath, because I've heard that this book will emotionally destroy me. Ruin is the third, like I said, the 3rd book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, so I won't talk about the events of what happened in it, mostly because I don't actually know, I haven't read it yet. But in Malice, you follow, I want to say 7 different main character point of views. I'm pretty sure it's something like 7. It's a lot. It's a lot of main characters. But essentially, The Faithful and the Fallen is like a Celtic-inspired fantasy. It is about an ancient prophecy that is finally coming true, in which the hero of the bad god and the hero of the good god are finally going to come head-to-head, but they don't know who is which one. It's really interesting kind of seeing them as they discover the ins and outs of the prophecy and their roles in it, and I just really loved the first 2 books in the series. I've already discussed my love for John Gwynne on this channel, so I highly recommend that you pick up The Faithful and the Fallen because this series is already completed, whereas I have no idea when the next Shadow of the Gods book is coming out. The next book that I picked up at Joseph Beth's is A Wish in the Dark by Christina Soontornvat, and she is a Thai author. I don't know that I've talked about this on my channel before, but I am half Thai. My mom is from Thailand, and since I've been on BookTube, I really haven't seen too many people talk about like Thai authors or Thai works at all, which has been kind of disappointing for me, but I realize that there's probably not too many Thai authors with translated works out there, or just not any that I've really found. But A Wish in the Dark is one of them, and this is a middle grade fantasy that is a Les Mis retelling, which is really all that I needed to know. I'm excited to pick this up. It's super short and it is Thai inspired, which is really exciting to me. So I ended up skipping March, I'm pretty sure, for my book of the month. I just didn't see anything there that really caught my eye, but my April book of the month was Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. I probably said that horribly wrong. The only thing that I know about this book is that the main character has gone through a nasty breakup and is moving home to her hometown, where she's being recruited to help save her aunt's restaurant. And shortly thereafter, one of the really famous or really nasty, I'm not sure, restaurant critics is in the restaurant and just drops dead. and he's also her ex-boyfriend. And that sounded hilarious. That's all that I really needed to know. I think that she's supposed to try and figure out who did it before the restaurant gets shut down or she gets blamed for it, because that's a really awkward situation. But that is all that I needed to know to pick this up, so I chose this for my April book of the month, and I can't wait to get to it. And again, these next 3 books I'm going to talk about as a group because they're a part of a series, and those are books 2, 3, and 4 in the Expanse series. I have already read books 1 and 2, but I think I borrowed 2 from my library. I didn't have a physical copy of it, so here it is. So Leviathan Wakes is book 1, and it's up there somewhere, so I'm just gonna hold up Caliban's War. Caliban's War is book 2 in the Expanse series, which is also an Amazon Prime show. And Leviathan Wakes follows James Holden and Detective Joe Miller as their paths end up crossing, as James Holden is trying to figure out who bombed the ice hauler that he's been working on and killed the majority of his friends, leaving him only with a crew of 4 to try and solve that mystery. And Joe Miller is trying to track down the missing girl of a very rich family who seems to be embroiled in a solar system-wide conspiracy. Bad things happen. It gets a little bit sci-fi horror-y somewhere in the middle of there, but it was so good. I was hooked. It was action-packed from the very beginning. I blew through book 1. I blew through book 2. I cannot wait to do the same with book 3, also because I've been watching the TV show as I've been reading the books, and I can't move on to the next part of the season until I've read book 3. So, we are definitely keeping these on the TBR cart until I can get to them. I know that there's more than 4, but my half-price books only had 5 and 6 in hardcover, and if I have the opportunity to get them matching in paperback, I'm going to do so. And then the final book on this haul was also bought on that same day at Half Price Books, and that is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I have the ebook, I think, of this, because I got it on sale, but I really wanted the physical copy because I really like these covers. I think that they're beautiful. But The Bone Season essentially follows Paige, who is a powerful dreamwalker in, I believe it's kind of like a modern urban fantasy, urban sci-fi London that has banned all clairvoyancy. I think that she gets caught, and I don't really know what happens from there, but it seems really good. This entire series gets a lot of praise from a lot of really big booktubers. And I really liked The Priory of the Orange Tree when I read it, which I know is totally unrelated to this, but I did really like Samantha Shannon's writing, so I'm excited to check out her other works as well. Okay guys, I've been talking for a super long time, and that is all of the books that I've hauled in the last few months. There have probably been a few more ebooks, but I'm not going to talk about those. I usually only just pick them up anyway when I find them on sale on Kindle for 99 cents or whatever. So that is everything that I've hauled, at least since the end of February into March. Let me know if you guys have read any of these down in the comments below. I would love to talk about them with you, especially the ones that I've already read, because obviously I know more about them. Anyway, that is it for me today, guys, so I will see you in my next video. Bye!